Buzzy's Feet by Uncle Amos and Carmy Cats. Near a small lake there lived a family of ducks. There were Papa Duck, Mama Duck, and 5 little ducklings. They all had feathers, 2 wings, and 2 legs with fine webbed feet. Every morning the duck family went out swimming on the lake. Then, right before nighttime came, they all bathed and swam again. The ducks loved swimming. It was easy for them. Their wonderful webbed toes pushed them through the water like great big paddles. One day, Buzzy, the littlest duckling, was out walking in the woods around the lake. It was a hard hike, and his webbed feet started to hurt. Finally, Buzzy sat down to rest on a fallen tree trunk. But as soon as he sat, Buzzy saw the king of the forest coming toward him. Buzzy said, "Hello, Your Majesty," and bowed, just as Mama and Papa Duck had taught him. But his feet hurt so much that he didn't get off the log and stand like he was supposed to. The king frowned. "Little Buzzy," the king rumbled, "why don't you stand before me? Don't you know the rules of the forest?" "Oh, Your Majesty," Buzzy said, feeling a little nervous, "I would stand, but my feet are so sore from walking that I can't. It's not my choice. If I had horse feet, I'd stand in front of you right now. But all I have are these silly duck feet, and they're no good for anything." The king thought for a moment. "I could give you horse feet," he mused. "Really?" cried Buzzy. "Certainly," the king replied. "Would you like that?" Buzzy imagined himself with a great big pair of hooves. How fast he'd run! How jealous the other ducks would be! "Yes," he cried, "yes, yes, yes, I want hooves. Give me horse feet." The king waved one paw regally. "You'll get your wish when you return home," he pronounced. "Thank you, Your Majesty," Buzzy quacked. "Thank you." When Buzzy finally got back to the lake, he felt funny. His walk felt all strange. He looked at his feet and saw that they had magically transformed into hooves. It was a lot harder to walk with horse feet, but Buzzy clomped awkwardly into the nest to show his parents. "Mom, Dad, look!" Buzzy cried. "The king of the forest gave me horse feet." Mama Duck gasped. "The king of the forest? Oh, goodness, Buzzy, look at your feet!" "I wonder how he'll swim now," Papa Duck wondered aloud. Buzzy's brothers and sisters gathered around to admire his new legs. "Can you kick?" they asked. "Sure," Buzzy said, and he tried to kick like a horse. But his new hooves were heavy and difficult to lift, so he soon stopped. "Horses can swim too," Buzzy told them. "Let's go play in the lake." The ducklings all waddled happily to the lake for a nice swim. But when Buzzy jumped into the water, he started to sink. "Help! Help!" he cried, paddling his heavy hooves desperately. Just as his head was about to go under water, Papa Duck swam over and hauled him to shore. "These legs aren't right for me," Buzzy said sadly. The next day, Buzzy clomped back into the forest on his horse hooves. He had to find the king of the forest and ask him to change his feet again. Soon Buzzy came to a grand palace. The king sat on a throne in front of it. Animals from all over the forest and waited their turn to talk to the king about their troubles. Buzzy stood in line patiently until it came his turn to talk. Buzzy bowed. "Hello, Your Majesty," he said. "Hello, Buzzy," the king rumbled. "Do you like your new legs?" Buzzy bowed his head. "They're not like I thought they'd be," he said sadly. "I can't swim any more, and they're so heavy that I can't even really walk." "Could you change them to something lighter, please?" "Lighter?" the king asked. "Maybe," Buzzy said, "I could walk better with cow legs." "Cow legs?" the surprised king said. "What makes you think a little duck like you could handle cow legs?" "Well, how about little cow legs?" Buzzy asked, "like a calf." The king sighed. "Well, all right," he rumbled. "If you wish for calf legs, then calf legs you will have. Return home, and you will have your calf legs." Buzzy rushed home. Sure enough, when he reached his nest and looked at his feet, they had turned into cloven cow hooves. His legs felt heavy, but what an improvement over the horse feet! "Hooray!" Buzzy cried. "Look what the king gave me today." His family sat in the grass and stared as Buzzy skipped back and forth on his springy calf legs. "Look at what I can do now." "But, Buzzy," Mama Duck asked anxiously, "you still can't swim with those." "It's all about paddling, son," Papa Duck told him. "If your feet don't paddle, then you just can't swim." "I can too swim," Buzzy insisted. "My feet can paddle fine. Let's go for a swim right now. I'll show you." The ducks waddled into the lake, Buzzy skipping alongside. But as soon as he was in the water, Buzzy's cloven hooves sank into the mud. He couldn't move an inch. "Help!" Buzzy cried. Mama and Papa Duck pulled together to get Buzzy unstuck. When he was finally safe, Buzzy said, "I just need to go get better legs. These ones are nothing like I thought they'd be." As soon as Buzzy felt better, he shook the water from his feathers and skipped back to the king's palace. Now that it was so late in the day, there were not many animals waiting to see the king. The king stood over the little duckling as Buzzy bowed. "Hello, Buzzy," the king rumbled kindly. "I see you still aren't happy with your feet." "No, your majesty," Buzzy said miserably. "They're no good for swimming. They're too high for me. Plus, I'm tired of skipping everywhere." "Perhaps," the king said, "those are not the legs you were meant to have." "I don't think so," Buzzy said. "But if you'll help me just one more time, your majesty, I think I have the answer." "Oh, and what is that?" asked the king. Buzzy took a deep breath. "I'd like you to give me turtle legs." "Turtle?" "Yes," Buzzy cried, skipping. "Turtles are small, so my feet won't be too big any more, and they can swim too. And they're so fine and pretty and green. Won't you please give me a pair of turtle feet, your majesty? Please, please." The king sighed deeply and stroked Buzzy's head. "Oh, all right," he told the little duck. "One more time. When you get home, you will have turtle feet." Buzzy rushed home as fast as his calf legs could take him. As soon as he reached his nest, though, he felt himself suddenly slow down. It was so hard to move forward. It took all of his effort just to put one foot in front of the other. "Buzzy, what happened?" the other ducklings asked. "Why are you moving so slow?" "Oh," said Buzzy casually, "I think it must be my new legs. I've got turtle legs now. They're not much good for walking, but at least I'll be able to swim." "So come swim," the ducklings called, jumping into the lake. Slowly Buzzy crept after them. Step by step he walked into the water, but when he finally got there he realized that he couldn't move his turtle feet fast enough to keep himself afloat. "Oh, help!" he yelled. "Mama, Papa, I'm sinking again." Once again Mama and Papa Duck tugged Buzzy out of the lake and deposited him on the shore, a sad, wet mess of feather and turtle feet. "This isn't what I wanted," Buzzy sobbed. "The horse feet were too heavy, the cow feet were too pointy, and the turtle feet are just too slow. Wherever can I find the right feet?" Then Buzzy looked at his family paddling and splashing in the lake with their broad, graceful duck feet. He knew he had to go see the king of the forest one more time. Early in the morning, Buzzy set off for the king's palace. He walked so slowly that it took him half an hour just to get away from the lake shore. He crawled through the forest for a long, long time. After 4 whole hours of walking, Buzzy finally stood before the king once again. The king was waiting for him. "What happened, Buzzy?" asked the king patiently. A big tear rolled down Buzzy's cheek. "Your Majesty, these feet just don't fit me. I don't know what to do any more. You've given me so many wonderful feet, but none of them has fit. What am I going to do?" Suddenly Buzzy had an idea. "What if you gave me iguana feet?" "Oh, why not?" the king said tiredly. "Knowing you, I'm sure you've always wanted to climb trees. Go home and your wish will come true." Buzzy walked back home very slowly on the turtle legs, but as soon as he got to the nest, his feet practically jumped from the ground. Buzzy scrambled up the nearest tree on his brand new iguana legs. Woo-woo! He looked up at the sky, then down to the ground. He'd never been up so high before. As the sun set, Buzzy scrambled back down the tree. He knocked a coconut off its branch. Whoops! It bounced to the shore and landed next to Mama Duck. "Buzzy, it's time to take a bath and go to bed," she ordered. Buzzy thought she looked mad. He wondered what he had done to make Mama Duck angry. "Come on, Buzzy," Papa Duck said. "Let's go take that bath." The ducklings all hopped into the water and started splashing around. Buzzy started to swim with his long iguana fingers, but he just couldn't make any headway. He felt angry and frustrated. Why was it so hard to swim with these new feet? Buzzy paddled his new iguana feet as hard as he could, but he still just sank. Finally, Papa Duck pulled Buzzy out of the water. Buzzy was so tired from trying to swim that he fell asleep without even saying good night to Mama Duck. The next day, Buzzy went back to the king of the forest once more. "I think I know what the problem is," Buzzy told him. "Yes?" the king asked. "I need webbed feet to swim. Maybe I should have a frog's legs or a pelican's legs or something. I don't know any more. What do you think?" The king put his giant paw gently on Buzzy's tiny back. "How about I give you the best set of legs in the forest?" he asked. "The best?" Buzzy asked. "What are they like?" "Oh, they're amazing," the king assured him. "They are long and slender, but strong as iron. Their color defies even the purest gold. Everyone in the animal kingdom is envious of these fine feet. Why, these incredible feet even have webs between their powerful toes, perfect for swimming." Buzzy hopped up and down as best he could on the iguana legs. "Oh, Your Majesty, you'd give those legs to me?" "It is done," the king said with a wave of his paw. Buzzy looked down to see that he had his very own feet back. He'd never noticed how handsome they were before, and they felt so good. "I saved these just for you, young Buzzy," the king said. "They are used, of course, but they are in excellent condition, and I think you will find the fit perfect." "Oh, thank you, Your Majesty," Buzzy quacked joyfully. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." Buzzy ran home on his very own feet, quacking happily all day. At last! He may have been wearing his old feet, but they felt brand new. When he arrived home, Buzzy jumped right in the water and swam and swam and swam. He swam circles around his brothers and sisters and even around Mama and Papa Duck. He couldn't remember being so happy in all his life. Buzzy swam until the moon had risen and the stars sparkled in the sky. "Come in, Buzzy," called Mama Duck. "It's long past your bedtime." Buzzy waddled into the nest and tucked his legs beneath his fluffy belly. He knew that he'd never want to lose them again. Buzzy's Feet by Uncle Amos and Carmy Katz. Narrated by Rick Schultz.